Welcome guys, this video is going to be about how to learn to actually build websites, software, AI agentic apps, anything you want to create. Even if you're not from a software development background, I'm going to show you the roadmap I follow to actually bring an idea all the way from a concept to life to a fully production ready, robust, a working application. So on the screen on here, you can see this is a virtual staging application I built very quickly using AI, and it it is not just a proof of concept. It actually has everything integrated into it, from authentication to payment to a database. And if you look at the UI, it doesn't look too bad either, right? So it's not just a proof of concept, but actually is very close to a production ready app. And I'm going to show you how you can build something like this, even if you don't come from a software development background, even if you don't know much about coding and you want to learn and dive into this, because this is the time to get into this and build. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to show you how this works. So this is kind of the home page, the marketing page. If you go to this start staging button, of course you have to log in, just like you have to log in any other application. So I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to hide my credentials from here. So once you're logged in, just like I'm about to be. So once you're logged in, this is kind of the dashboard you will see. So we have built it a very minimal version of this, just so it just works and does what it is supposed to do. So the way it currently works is you upload an image of your empty room, or a room you want to stage, or you have already staged but it doesn't look too good. So you can just upload an image here of any room, even if it has furniture or not, doesn't matter. Our application will take care of it. So let's choose a room. So let's choose this one. Now you got to select if it's already empty or if you want to generate or make it empty. So I'm going to make it empty. As you can see, it's pretty messy right now. Then it's going to generate two variations, or depending on whatever you want, as many variations of that empty room. So this is what it generated. As you can see, on the left is the image we uploaded, and on the right is the emptied out room. As you can see, it got it pretty accurate. Nothing is changed except this window blind, so all good. After that, you can select whichever image you want. Like this one has the reflection, and it got the window blind correctly as well. So we're going to choose this and continue with staging. Then of course, again, you can choose either one, which one you want to for staging. You can choose whichever style you want. So I want modern, I want this as a living room maybe, and then I generate. And then it's going to generate two versions of the staged room according to your selections. This is just clever prompting in the background that's happening here, and I'm going to show you how it's done. So as you can see, this is what it generated. It's pretty good. We can of course add or remove things based on the prompt we have selected here. So this one it didn't get right, but this one it got pretty accurate. Nothing about the room has changed. Even the reflection is there, and it only added things. So if you want, you can generate again. You can generate as many as you want, and as you can see, each generation costs 20 credits. So we have a payment system here. So there on top is our credits that any user will have, whoever will be using this app, and each generation will cost 20 credits. And based on, and this is the same credit system that is used with so many apps that you might have used. Either it's a subscription based system or just a pay as you go system. Most of the applications use a credit system, right? So you pay, your money is converted into a bunch of credits, and then those are used with the application's operations, right? So that's what we have implemented here. Alright guys, so I forgot to add it in the video where our payment is set up. So if you go to credits, I'm just going to quickly show you. So as you can see right here, we have these three plans, and you can choose either one, just like you have on your apps or on your platforms you see every day. So let's just choose anyone. Let's just choose this, adds 2500 credits, and just want to show you how the payment is integrated. Just going to fill this up. Alright, so this is filled up. Let's click on pay, and 2500 credits should be added to our account. So let's see if that does it. So it will read. So there you go guys, as you can see, we have now 3960 credits. So those were added right Payment is working correctly. Right now it's in test mode, but it's set up correctly. And as you can see, with each generation, it's deducting 20 credits. That's what I'm saying, that it's a production ready app. It's not just a proof of concept, as you see so many people building nowadays on YouTube or everywhere. People can develop things with software like Lovable or Bolt, but it's most likely, if not done well, if not done comprehensively, it's just a proof of concept. To turn it into a production ready app is what takes a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of execution in the right way. So that's what we're going to learn today, and we're going to see how someone without much background, without any background in coding, can build something like this within a week, within a few days, even if once they get used to it. So right now we have limited this app to this workflow, but there's so many possibilities here. So there's a lot of potential here, but we're gonna see how someone can build an app like this or any other app, right? Because this is based on clever prompting. So with prompting, you can build either a real estate app, either an app that can make storybooks for children, or if you want to go even more advanced, you can make even much more comprehensive apps. For example, applications that can turn ideas into videos, right? We have generative video tools as well, and they're available via APIs to everybody. You just have to know how to use them and how to follow this process I'm going to show you, and how to actually, then once you have built a couple of them, once you have gone through this process, you start to getting the hang of it, and then it starts to become easy, and then the world is your oyster. You can literally build anything. So in the coming days, we're going to show apps where we transform idea from concept all the way to videos. We have agents that we build applications for. So a lot of good stuff is coming, but yeah, the possibilities are so endless. So whatever you have in your mind, you can execute that idea, and I'm going to show you how. So once you have an idea in your head, you know what you want to create, how it will work. What you want to do is first maybe lay it out either on a flowchart or on a notebook. Draw it out, draw the whole functionality out, how it would work, who would use it, why it would be application that would be useful, just so you have it laid down somewhere, right? And then what we want to do is we want to create a PRD. Now this is the most important part. A PRD is used in software development, in professional software development processes, and this is a document. It's the vast document that is used by everybody involved in the process. And as you can see, I have written a little bit about it. So it contains what you want to build, why it's being built, and who it's for, and how it will be built. So it has each and everything related to that project. So this is what you want to build after you have laid down some flowchart or some specifications about your project, and you have an idea what you want. This is your first and the most important, I would say, part of the process. And building the PRD might take time, but it's important that you spend a lot of time on it, because this, if done well, will save you a lot of pain and a lot of time later on in the development process. Now you don't have to manually write all of it yourself. You are of course going to use large language models. We live in the age of AI agents and AI, right? So we're going to use ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, whatever you want, one of the top language models, to craft this PRD. Now how to do that? I'm going to show you a structure that you have to know, that even though you might not come from software development background, but you should know what the final PRD should have. So you are now kind of a manager of things, right? You have junior coding assistants, which are going to be your AI agents that we're going to write all the code, all the website code, all the front end, the back end, everything for, right? But you have to manage it. So you have to be on top of it. You cannot just give vague prompts to the agent and tell it to build something in 4 or 5 lines in a paragraph. That's just not going to work if you want to build production ready, robust applications that survive the real world. So that's why this is so important. And on the right hand side, as you can see, I have put together a little roadmap on how you should think, how you should what thought process you should use when you're creating this PRD. So to craft this PRD, you kind of have to follow this roadmap right here. Alright, so I'm going to show you my process, what I kind of went through when I was developing the PRD for this real estate virtual staging application that I just showed you. So as I said, I was developing it with ChatGPT, So right here you will see like kind of the development process. All right, so this is kind of during the process, and I was refining it and adding to it and developing the PRD right here. So as you can see, I was developing it with ChatGPT, and that's what you want to do as well with any large language model, Claude, Gemini, Grok, whatever, one of the top language models. Use that. And if you don't want to use that, there are a couple of tools as well that you can use. I'm gonna link them to the description that are specifically made for developing PRD. But the most important thing is you should know what a finished, successful PRD should look like, so that you can, if it doesn't meet the requirements, you can come back here and you can tell the language model, tell ChatGPT that okay, it's missing something right now. We gotta add that, and this is not correct, right? So you're gonna be the manager, so you gotta keep full control, full tabs on this. That's the most important part of this process. Now, as you can see right here, it's kind of first it comes with a summary like what the project is. Then there's some objective, then there's some personas, then there's some scope of the project, then there's some user journey. So this might look intimidating at first, but it's not once you get used to it, so don't be afraid of it. And then there's some requirements and all that, then there's some architecture, then there's some code that we have gotten from third-party websites that are going to be used here. So now let's see the process that I use, and you can follow this roadmap as well if you're new to this, and if you want to make sure that you cover each and every aspect of development, right? So first, you might have an idea. For example, our idea was the virtual staging real estate app. So for that, first you want to think, of course, the pain and the promise, which is what the problem your app is solving and how it's solving it, and clarify it, why it exists, and what would be the measurable win, what would be success, what would success look like for this app, right? And that, of course, you will have an idea, so you will have that down. Then, of course, you want to know if it's possible to make that. So you want to maybe figure out what services, what APIs, what models, what third-party things you're going to use to make this happen, right? So our app was a virtual staging real estate app, right? So we need generative AI image models that we can access, and we can use them, and we can send out prompts to them and convert images from one state to another. In our case, an empty room to a staged room, or a already poorly staged room to empty room, right? That's what we are doing. So we need to find out if we can do that. Your requirements might be different. You might be looking to fetch YouTube video transcripts and maybe scan them, break them down into small videos. And your concept maybe of you want to create an app that can actually fetch tweets or fetch LinkedIn posts, kind of create short videos out of them, right? So whatever your concept is, as I said before, you need to have it laid down somewhere, how the process looks like, and then what components do you need. So in our case, we need image models that can generate and transform images, AI generative image models. Now, where would I find them? So there are a couple of places that offer APIs for these models. Either it's Fal AI, or either it's Replicate, and there are a bunch more. For our purpose, these models should be enough. So as you can see right here, Replicate has video models, image models, text models, anything AI related you want to leverage in your project, you should come here. If you want like on AI API store kind of, then Rapid API, or there are a bunch of other API services as well which offer APIs for either LinkedIn, either all sort of services. Like if you were looking for property APIs that can fetch property data, do anything with property, go to Zillow. There's Twitter API, there's football, there's Instagram. So that you can find any API realistically here which offer this. And you want to look if you have those APIs available that your concept needs to be turned into a reality, right? So in our case, we are going to be using a Flux context model, right? So it's an image editing model. So it's available on Fal, and or I can use any other image editing model, right? It doesn't have to be context, but I found in my testing that context works really good for our purpose. So there you go. So there is Flux context, and if you go on here, this is the API that they offer. So all the code and everything is available here, and this is something we're going to copy, and we're going to put it into our PRD as well if we choose to use this API, so that our it would contain the code as well that the development team will use later to implement into your application. If you want to use YouTube API, as I said, to fetch transcripts for your whatever idea you have, you might go here, and you might use these code snippets that you have here, whatever, for this API, this specific API. You can choose from different endpoints, right? So the possibilities, as I said, are endless, and we're going to explore this much more in a much more comprehensive course. It's going to be coming in the next few days in our Skool community, and it's going to teach development of these kind of platforms or websites from scratch all the way to production, and we're going to cover each and everything in there. So feel free to join if you want to learn, if you're excited for that. It's going to be all in there in the coming week. And anyway, getting back to it. So for our purpose, we need to use the Flux context model, right? So what we are doing essentially is, I'm going to show you right now. So what we are doing is we are just uploading an image of a room, and we're giving it a prompt that is very, that has been tested to empty out the room or stage it in different ways, right? So the prompt you might have to test, right? So you can test it right here until it works fine. That's what I did for my application. And yeah, and then I decided that, okay, I'm going to use Flux Context API for my own application, right? So I have the APIs available. That's all good. You might also want to check the limits. If the API has any limits or anything like that, that might interfere with the application. So you might want to find another API that might not, right? Once you have finalized the APIs, all right, guys, one thing I forgot to show or mention, and I'm going to have to interject here. So while you're deciding these things, you also want to decide how you want to use these APIs. Like, do you want to write code for these backend functionalities, for example, calling the API and everything, or do you want to use a no-code tool? So if you're coming from not software development background, you might want to use tools like N8N and use them, use workflows that you have within N8N, or build workflows within N8N, or tools like make.com or Zapier, and then hook them up with your app, and you can totally do that. So if you don't want to write everything in code, then you can also build the backend within N8N itself. So for this application, if you want to decide you want N8N, then you can just build a simple workflow like this, and that would be triggered by webhooks. It would respond to our application, to our UI via webhooks, and in the middle is just a HTTP call to the Flux context image model, which I just showed you and have been showing you from the beginning. It can be any model, any video model, any text model, any 3D model, anything you want, any audio generation model, right? And you can build a workflow around it and use it in your application, and that helps a lot for people who doesn't come from a coding background. You can build these workflows and use them and create a web application around it, and turn your N8N workflows into a full-blown product. And that's the power of this. So I just wanted to insert that in here. So you might want to make that decision as well. If you don't want to code everything and make it much easier, then you just make your workflows here, test them and make sure they're working well, and then just include the webhook URLs within the PRD, and just tell it that we have the workflows working in the background. You have to just use the webhooks, so this production webhook to call this, and that's it. So if you include that in the PRD, your agents will understand at the time of development that this is how they have to integrate that into your system. So that's what I wanted to show you, because this makes development easy for people who don't come from software development background. So always consider this choice when you are starting out. And if you're new, I would highly recommend to go this way, build your workflows within N8N. And if you need any help, feel free to reach out to me in the Skool community. I can help you build any workflow you want, bring any idea to life, from AI calling agents to video generations to image generation agents all over the place. So feel free to reach out to me in there, check out the previous agents and the workflows we have built. Then you want to come to this phase, which is our personas and epics phase. So what is this? So this is the classic concept used in PRDs. It is just what personas are going to be using your application or your platform or your website that you're building, right? So for us, it's going to be, speed first real estate agents. What do they need? They need same day listing, and or a DIY investor or a brokerage marketing lead, right? So you just want to list them down, who's going to be using your app, why, and what would success look like to them, right? So we have laid it out. This is not the final PRD, by the way. This is, I'm showing you, this is just a process of building it. As you see, the chat goes like really long. So that's what you want to do. You want to keep on, kind of refining it, kind of polishing it until you have a satisfied, a satisfactory version finalized. After that, once your personas and epics are defined, you will write the user journey map, which is just how different parts of your application will work when the user is interacting with them. So if it's confusing, let me show you. I'll make it simple for you. So right here for our app, so look at this user journey. So as you can see, I'm sorry, where did it go? It is not complicated at all. It might look complicated, but you are just gonna ask ChatGPT to make it for you, and you're just gonna supervise and manage and look at it and make sure that it looks good. It is exactly as what you're envisioning for your application, right? So you gotta keep tabs on it. So for our application, as you can see, this is the user. So U refers to the user. FE refers to the front end of our application. So the UI that you see for our application. The API is the API, the connection to the different external applications that we are making. So in our example, as I told you, we are using this Flux context API. So let me explain it to you. So during the staging, if the user hits the front end and it chooses Scandinavian plus bedroom presets for the staging, right? What will happen? The front end will call the API will hit a request in the backend in the Flux context model. The API will give us back 2 images, and our API will give this back to the front end, and our front end will display those 2 images, right? This replicate context pro is because we were using the context pro from replicate before, so now we are using it from Val. So it's up to you which service you want to use. It doesn't matter. So it's just saying that, the prompt plus the empty room image is being sent to the API, right? That's how it will work. That's how your empty room will be staged, right? Or your already full room will be emptied out, right? So you'll have to send the image plus the prompt. You just have to lay it out in the PRD so it understands how we are envisioning our application to work. So this is very important for the AI to understand how you're envisioning the flow of your application and different components of your application, right? Now, once you have this finalized, let's go back to our diagram. So once you have these written down, you have to think deeply about all the cases, right? What might happen, the retries you might have to do. So if the AI doesn't return it back, do you want to give a couple of retries to the user to retry that functionality? So think of each and everything here. Again, you don't have to write it yourself. Use AI to explore these things, right? So, and the edge cases, right? In some cases, if our API fails, it doesn't return anything, what will happen then? Then the error message will be displayed and no credits will be deducted, right? So you want to write that down in the user journey map, in the swim lanes and everything, right? Then once you have these things written down, then you come to the requirements. So the functional, non-functional requirements, the success metrics, how we'll measure the app, and the constraints, right? So let's look at that in relation to our own app that we just showed you. So the functional requirements for this were, so the feature one was you upload a file, either a JPEG or a PNG file of your room that you want to be staging, right? Why it's less than 10 MB? Because our API has limits. So that's what you have to consider. The tools, the API you have chosen, does it have any limits? You want to include that in there, right? So that so that we might put this on our application that, okay, you can only upload 10 MB because that's what our API accepts. Feature 2, what will happen then? So as I said, so earlier I was building this application to even have much more comprehensive features. So it would be masking the furniture and everything, but now I kind of scrapped those because the model for this wasn't working that reliably, so I scrapped that. So I'm just emptying the room right now. So you upload an image, you empty it out, then you have 6 styles or however many styles to choose from, like Scandinavian, modern, industrial, farmhouse, whatever style you want to stage that room into. And then after that, what would happen? the two variants would be generated. So if you remember, in our application, two images were being generated for each time, right? So the user can choose from either one, right? The reason behind that was just because AI isn't reliable, so we want to give them the option. If they don't like one, then at least they have the second one, that might do well, right? And after that, again, this feature is not implemented yet. So the idea was that after you generate those images, you have like a little chat under that image, and you can just edit with by talking to it, right? And this is not very complicated to implement. This will use the same API, the Flux context. We will just upload that image to the API, send the prompt, whatever the user wants to edit, and it will give us back the edited image. So you can easily do that, right? So hopefully you're understanding now how we are writing these things. So again, what you have to do, you have to explain these things to ChatGPT. Told it again, within the chat, it should know that you're writing the PRD, so it would write it in the correct structure and the correct language for the functional requirements, right? And then you have the non-functional requirements, right? So these are not the functionality of the app itself, but other things that you have to consider, right? So what should happen, like, for example, do you want to auto delete the originals and the outputs after 30 days, or do you want to keep them forever? Like, these things have to be considered as well, right? These are the non-functional requirements. And again, use AI to finalize them. Make sure you are covering each and every aspect. So keep asking AI that, are we covering each and every aspect for it to be a production ready, robust application, and keep improving that until it's final, right? And then you have, we have our requirements done. Then this is the most important thing. So the data and state management is the most important thing, and you want to spend a lot of time here. So let me show you what I mean by this. So the way your data will flow when someone is using your application is the most important thing, and you want to kind of take a lot of time to determine this structure and then build your database and finalize your database first, right? So for our application, of course, we are using Supabase as our database. So let me show you how our database kind of looks like and how we finalize this. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to go to tables. I'm going to go to our database. And there you can see all of these that we have developed, right? Don't be scared by these. These are not complicated. These are developed step by step with the help of AI as well, if you want to. But again, you have to get them down according to how your application will work. So this table right here is a users table, right? So just as in normal application, when you log into application, your email ID is stored inside of a database like this, so that when you log back in again, that application can pull back your email ID, and it is connected to all these things. So it can know how many credits you have, what are your previous credit transactions, what jobs you have going on, what sessions you have done before, what generations you have done, right? So that is for each user going to be different, right? So that's how you have to build your database. So this is our users database. Then it's connected to all these databases, right? So I have built it via iteration, just chatting with ChatGPT as to what will be the best structure for our application, and you can easily do the same. ChatGPT will give you commands to create this database. You don't have to do much. What you have to do is go in that SQL editor right here, and just paste in your commands right here. So over here you have to just paste the commands ChatGPT will give you, run them, and that will create these tables in this database. Just even after you have finalized with ChatGPT, it always helps to do a final review of it, either with ChatGPT or some other large language model, to make sure everything is set up correctly, everything will work correctly, and just a final check, right? So once you have your database down, an important thing to also think about is state and state management. So in essence, a way to define state, I think, would be at any point or at any moment in your application, it knows certain things, right? So like which user is logged in, what processes have been done, what checkbox are checked, or what's in your cart, right? These kind of things. Even if you reload the page or even if you open it from other device, those things stay persistent, right? So those things are essentially known to the application about you, the user, and it retains that, right? So that is because of because the development team took state management into account, and when you refresh the page, it doesn't just start all over again, right? So that is done by state management. So essentially, you can have to think it that way, right? So it retains that state which you left it in, right? So you don't lose your work essentially, or you don't lose that data, or you don't lose where you are essentially in your application, right? Again, use AI to write those things correctly for your application inside the PRD. But just understand these concepts, know that you have to take them into account, know that you have to build a robust state management, a robust database. That is the most important thing while building an application. Remember that. So spend a day on it, doesn't matter. Spend a day on it to to get the database schema really down, to get these tables really down according to your application. Visualize how the data will flow. Ask ChatGPT to explain it to you, right? How should I construct my database for my application that I have the idea for, right? It will help you, and you will come to a final refined version. But keep doing it, spend some time on it, and you will have a refined, robust database and a robust state management, hopefully. You don't have to worry about it too much in the beginning, since in the beginning uh, you might be building slightly less complex applications, so you will learn as you're building, right? So but you have to consider these things. These are the most important things. Anyway, once you have these things down, uh, then you want to move on to your stack. So what software, what framework, what language, what are the different tools we're going to be using to put together this application? And what I mean by that is, so there are so many languages, right? Python, JavaScript, Java, C Sharp, C++, right? You can write your language, you can write your application in any of these. So the most popular ones that work well with AI coding tools are React frameworks and Python backends. So these are the most popular ones because coding them with AI is easier. So you want to choose either one of them. For us, the most popular one is Next.js framework. It's written in JavaScript, TypeScript. If you're a beginner, if you're really a beginner, you might also use Python backends or connected to a Gradio or Streamlit interface. You might go that route as well. That's simpler if you want. But yeah, you want to decide that. So you want to decide you're using a Next.js framework. So it's nothing but a framework, React framework for web applications. There are a lot of frameworks out there, right? So you have to decide which one, right? So yeah, so that's what you have to decide on. Now getting back to and you have to decide what database you will use. So of course, in my case, I'm using Supabase. You can use Firebase. You can use all the other ones that are out there. But this is, first of all, it has a free tier and it's simpler for beginners. So I recommend starting with that. Then you want to choose authentication. So the logins for different users that we are doing, right? If you are building a production ready application, you want to include authentication. So for authentication, you can choose Supabase as well. They offer authentication, or you can use Clerk. So Clerk is much better in terms of authentication. It's a dedicated service for authentication. That's why I'm going ahead with this one because I have been building with it. You can choose Supabase as well for authentication. It's up to you. Next thing will be the payment. So how will you take payments from the users, right? So for this, the biggest player, of course, is Stripe. There are a bunch of players again, Lemon Squeezy and all bunch of them. So feel free to pick and choose, Google about them, but Stripe is the most popular, simplest one. And so we are choosing Stripe for accepting payments from customers. And for state management as well, you wanna kind of decide what you want to use. For local state management, you might want to use Zustand. So let ChatGPT maybe decide that for you in the beginning, because you will not need that complex of a state management in the beginning if you're building very simple kind of applications. But you need to decide on these things. So all the different softwares you're using, right? So the framework we're using Next.js, we're using Supabase, we're using Stripe, we're using Clerk. We are using shared CN library for our components. So shared CN has different UI components. So all the different the boxes you see on our UI, where we were uploading images and all that, those are coming from ChatCN. So just tell it to ChatGPT that this is what I want, and it will put them in the PRD. So once you have these things down, then you also wanna divide up your application into development phases. So feature wise, what would we develop first? Then you wanna also include tests. So tell it to include unit or integration tests after each phase. And this is very important if you want to build production ready applications. A lot of people just kind of wing it, and that's why this is different from vibe coding, because we're actually following a structure which is very close to real software development. So yeah, tell it to break down your full development process, and again you have to tell it to break down in detail, make sure it covers each and everything, and write tests and unit integration tests for each phase. And once you have done with this phase, then this is very important as well. So you want to use the code examples. You want to include the code examples in your PRD. Which code examples? These will be the APIs you're using or the external tools you're using, right? So for example, in our case, we are using this Flux context model hosted on FAL. Now, FAL tells us how to use their API. They have a documentation for it right here. Now, of course, they have a whole bunch of languages you can change and pick from. We are using our JavaScript, so we can keep it there. And what you want to do is, so this is the code, how to submit a request to this API, right? What you want to do is, you want to copy the relevant code and paste it in your PRD, right? Just the relevant one. So submit the request, or whichever API you're using, you want to put this code in your actual PRD. So just copy it, give it to ChatGPT, ask it that these are the APIs we're using. We want to include the code examples in the PRD so the development team knows how to use those APIs correctly, right? So give them as much detailed information as you can in the PRD so they don't get confused later. That's your job as a manager. So please do it well. You won't have much trouble in the development later on. Now, once you're done with the code examples phase, then you want to compile the final PRD. Make sure everything is set up correctly. All those phases are set up correctly. We are not missing anything. And just ask ChatGPT if everything makes sense about this application. Analyze it again. Maybe ask another language model, or just read it through if everything makes sense to you, right? Spend a lot of time on this part. And then you will have a final product requirement document that is ready to be used for development process, right? Like I went through this long process, right? And I still don't know where the final PRD is inside of this chat because I was just chatting with it all through development, and yeah, maybe it's this one, I'm not sure. But yeah, but once you have a final PRD, just copy it from here in the markdown format right here, copy and paste it into a file, a markdown file, right? Now your PRD is decided. So the biggest and the most important phase of development of bringing your idea to life is complete. All right, so now to the development process. Once your PRD is done, you're satisfied with it, you have copied it, you're gonna create a file called prd whatever .text, and you're gonna paste it in there. So now you wanna go to the folder wherever you wanna create this project. There are two ways you can begin. Either you can start from scratch, you can start a Next.js project and initialize it using the commands either from ChatCN or either from Next.js itself. So let me just open a new terminal right here. Once we have our terminal open, either you can create the Next.js framework using this command once you are inside a folder. So I am inside my project folder where I'm gonna make this project. I can create all the framework of the Next.js framework. So there's going to be a bunch of folders and structure that's like a template, a boilerplate specific to this framework. So do not be scared of seeing a lot of folders, a lot of different files. You will get used to it if you keep building with it. Just understand that these are needed for this particular framework. If you don't want to start from scratch, there are also templates available. that can help you kind of not do a lot of work yourself. For example, setting up the database or authentication and all these things yourself. These are pre-integrated into these templates. Uh, one of the popular ones is this one by this guy called McKay Wrigley. It's a template with this technical stack. So Next.js, Tailwind, Shad CN, Framer Motion. These are just for giving your UI a better look for components and for the animations. The backend is with Postgres, Supabase, Drizzle, and Server Actions. The authorization is with Clerk. The payments are with Stripe. So this is very similar to what I use myself and what I showed you in the previous kind of PRD development process. So you can either use this, or if you're a beginner, you might want to start your project from scratch. It's totally up to you. Either way, you can build your application either way. Now, you will need account on each one. That's said, right? So create account on each one of these services. There are other templates available as well. I'm going to show them in the more comprehensive course that's going to be in our Skool community. And for each of these services, you will need these environment variables as well, right, to access these services. So you will get them inside of each service, of course. After that, so if you want to use this template, all you have to do is just clone this. So you're going to do git clone and this, and it will import this template into your system. I'm not going to hit it right now because I already have the application set up there. So if you want to do that, do it this way. But once you have that, so this is currently how all the folders look like inside here. This is a fully built application, so yours might be a little bit, it's just going to be a framework when you start. And right here is our PRD .text right here. So now what you want to do is, before you start your AI agent or composer from control.l, if you're using the AI powered IDE, which you probably will be, you first want to use TaskMaster, which is very important. So as you can see right here on the right hand side, this is the GitHub repository of TaskMaster. It is offered by Claude to kind of break down your software development processes into smaller tasks, and your AI agents can then follow those like a to-do list until the development is complete. Now Cursor has its own to-do list feature as well, but I still think this works a bit better. Yeah, so we're gonna use TaskMaster, and I'm gonna show you how. And it's gonna use your PRD, it's gonna break it down into step-by-step implementation, and then it's gonna follow it along the whole development process. So what you wanna do is, firstly, wherever you have installed your project, so I have installed my project inside of the VS folder, so you gotta be inside of that folder. Make sure your path here is pointing inside of that folder. That's a very big mistake beginners make. You might have to figure that out yourself by making it a couple of times. But if you're not a beginner, this is not an issue for you. So yeah, make sure you're inside that folder where all your files are created and everything is there. And then make sure you have an account with Claude and you have an account with Perplexity. This is what you will need for the bare minimum you will need for TaskMaster if you want to use that. TaskMaster is not mandatory. It's just something that works really well, and from experience I'm saying, because I have built applications with TaskMaster and without, and it makes a massive difference in the process. So now to install TaskMaster, you're going to use this command. I already have it installed, so it wouldn't make a difference for me, but it would install TaskMaster globally in your system. And then once it's installed, you're going to initialize it with this command. So let it run. Alright, so once TaskMaster is installed, then you're gonna want to initialize it. So this is the command for initializing it, initializing TaskMaster. It either you initialize it globally or initialize it for locally. So let's do TaskMaster init. That will start and get our TaskMaster going. There you go. So initializing the new project. So now your TaskMaster is on. Do you now? So after I initialized it, I got a bunch of errors because I already have TaskMaster set up because I built it with this. But you won't have this issue. So continue with this. It's gonna ask a bunch of questions again. What kind of ID you're using. So select your ID. In our case, it's A. Okay, so select all. I accidentally selected all, so it added the rules for all of them. But you have to select only one of them, whichever ID you're using. And once that's done, it's asking for the language now. It's starting to ask a lot of questions nowadays. So now your taskmaster is initialized in there, and now as you will see, this folder will be formed and with a bunch of folders inside of it, and there will be this tasks folder. So you won't see these tasks. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we're going to now make taskmaster talk to our PRD that we created, and it's going to extract and understand it, and then extract all the information from our PRD and break it down into steps. Before we do that, you want to make sure that inside your environment file, which is your .env file right here, I'm not going to open it. I have my keys inside of there. But make sure you set your anthropic key and your perplexity key from the environment examples. Just copy these keys and set your own value in there, so that it can actually do research on the internet for new features, for new code that will be needed for your application, and it can fill the gaps if there are any. I would highly recommend you to put both of these keys. You can also, I think, get away without the perplexity key if you don't want to. So once you have that saved in there, now we will use our command to parse our PRD. So this command right here will be used. So taskmaster parse PRD, and then the name of your PRD. In my case, it's PRD .vs and .txt, and then it will parse all of the information from there, understand it, and Claude will then create a list and of phases of development for this PRD. But since I have already done that, so it's not I'm gonna say no, I don't want to use extra tokens. Once you have done that, you will see a list of kind of your tasks in there, which you can see from taskmaster list. So these commands come in handy. It will show you all the tasks that it has divided up for your project. So right there, so let me just maximize this, and there you can see. So number one is, so these are done, right? I have already implemented them, and it assigns priority, it assigns complexity score to them as well. If this complexity score is not showing up in your PRD, you might have to run another command to get it. So just run so taskmaster analyze complexity, and this task will analyze the complexity of each of these development phases and then give you a score. And then you want to break them down into subtasks, the one with higher complexity scores, and that increases the chances of success by a lot if you do this. So right now it's analyzing. It's going to take some time. Claude is processing it in the background. Alright, so then you can see the complexity report with this command. So taskmaster complexity report, and it's going to take a time. So this is right here is your full list that taskmaster has created. So each of the task, each of the implementation has been separated. The score of complexity is given out of 10. And also this is the expansion command, right? So what do you want to do now? If the scores above, usually I go with the scores above 7 or 6 even, I want to expand and divide them into further smaller tasks, and that really increases the success rate for them. So what you want to do is, if you want to expand this task, all you have to do is copy this command. But since you can't copy it right here because of the UI thing, you can just go over here in taskmaster inside complexity report, copy the first half of this command right here, up to prompt, right, and then go down, and then the prompt, just copy it from here. This was the prompt. And what this command will do is, so for this specific task that we just chose, it will break it down into smaller tasks. So I will let it run, and it's generating subtasks, as you can see. So it's gonna break it down into subtasks, and you can also use this command to see all the tasks with the subtasks that we just created. So if you run this command, as you can see, the task 1, and it's break down into, I don't know, 11 tasks that has been done actually. And then task 2, it's break down into 4 tasks. So I broke all these down into subtasks to reduce the complexity, and you can see all that. So I recommend you showing and looking over all of them before you start development. And if you want to update or change any of the tasks while you're doing that, there's also a taskmaster update command, which you have to write according to whichever task you want to update or change. And you can then update the plan according in the middle of the development, and it will change the entire plan according to that. So feel free to check the commands out and use if needs be during development. But once you're done with the PRD and you're ready to start development, then what you're going to do is you're going to attach your PRD here, give it to the AI agent as well, right here, and then you can just say, let's start the development according to the PRD, according to the tasks created with Taskmaster, and let's check the first and most important task and begin development. All right, so that should start the development process. Once you go, it will check in Taskmaster, and the way it's connected to Taskmaster is via a Taskmaster MCP. So if you go into settings right here on the top right hand corner, and if you go to your tools and integration, you should see a Taskmaster MCP right here. If something is not working, make sure it's there with Taskmaster and it's switched on and it's showing all these tools accessed, right? If it's not working, maybe restart your system once again, restart your cursor after installing it. That solves it a bunch of times as well. But yeah, then you're ready to start development. And once you do this, once it will, if I submit this command, I will just use Vercel model because I don't want to waste tokens because I already have developed this. So what it will do is it will hit the Taskmaster MCP. So see, it's calling the next task inside of the Taskmaster, and it's understanding what the next task is, and it's now using these tools. So these are the tools inside of Taskmaster, right? So these are all the tools it's using. So it's going to automatically coordinate with Taskmaster and follow that list for the development process, which makes the process a whole lot organized, just like real software development. So I'm not going to keep it going because we already have a developed application, but that's how you want to do it. Once you have development done, then of course there will be testing as well, which a lot of it will be done by your agent. You might have to do some minimal work if things don't work, but yeah. And you're going to go through this, make sure you're going to go through all the projects, all of them should be ticked done, and then your project should be finished development. And if you have implemented testing as well, there are high chances the final application will be working. If not, you might have to do some error diagnosis in the end, and that should solve it, and you should have your application developed as your PRD. So as you can see from my chats that let me just show you my previous chats as well. So it just keeps on working well with Taskmaster. It just keeps on working until it's implemented all that. As you can see right here, all of these are implemented by the agent itself in one go. So it works really well. And as you can see right here in the terminal, as it keeps doing those tasks, it keeps on marking them done, and some of them are still pending. And then once it's done with a particular tasks, so it moves on to the next task, so task 4, and then it executes those. So you want to build it until your application is complete like that while testing it. And in the end, once it's done, you should have a working application. So you can run your application then with the and that should open your application in a local host. And as we have it right here, it should be working. So If it doesn't, you can come back to it, you can give it the errors and it will sort those out. You might have to do some final troubleshooting, but as I said right here. So there you go. Now once your final application is done, you're gonna push it to GitHub, of course. Push all the code to GitHub. Make sure to exclude your sensitive keys, because other people can misuse them and you will be paying the bills. So be very careful about security while you're doing this. It might seem fun while you're building it for yourself or for internal use, but when you're building it for a larger base or for clients, you have to be careful about security. So you might have, there are some prompts that you can run for security here, very detailed ones, so it can actually do a security analysis of your whole final code base and kind of figure out the vulnerabilities or any problems that might occur that might be exposing your keys, your sensitive information, that hackers or any scammers will take advantage of. So that is a very important step as well. Those prompts are going to be available inside the Skool community as well. Once you're done with the main functionality, this hero page that we have built right here, as you can see, we built it by ourselves, and building something like this with AI is not easy. AI by itself doesn't create these pages, right? So you have to create them by yourself, and we're going to show them how to build much more beautiful hero pages than this inside the Skool community as well. And you can create any image, any video you want and put this in here and loop it in a much better way. Right now I haven't implemented the loop in a perfect way. Right now it's cutting off after a few seconds, as you can see, but this all is going to be available inside the Skool community as well in the upcoming course. And yeah, that's your finished application. So tell me it doesn't look good. I mean, for application build within a couple of days, it looks pretty damn good for me. And if you are somebody who's offering specifically tailored applications, platforms for your clients, you know, AI powered or non-AI powered, doesn't matter. You want to learn this workflow, you want to learn how to deliver good looking, production ready and robust applications that work well. So this was my aim with this video, to teach you the process of how to do that. We're going to expand on it much more and build more applications in the coming days. The detailed courses I'm planning to upload on in the Skool community, so feel free to join in there if you want access to the previous automations, the builds we have done, and the prompts used to build these hero sections, to build and to do the security analysis and all those things. The last thing will be to deploy these applications out to the world on the internet, and you can easily do that with the most common service used is of course Vercel. So you can just go there and just connect your GitHub repository, and after that you can just select those repositories. I don't have that one imported right now, so you can just do add new project and it will show your GitHub repositories. So this is the one. I can just import it and deploy it from here. It's pretty simple process if you want to deploy it out to the world, but you got to make sure it's secure, it's robust, it's well tested first. So that's a very important process in the end as well. But that was the whole process from idea all the way to a finished application. So I hope I was able to provide some value with this video. I was able to teach you something that you did not know before, and if it was of any help, feel free to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and join our community if you feel so. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.